Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for checking in with my Tech Time. We do this every once a month on the last Tuesday, and appreciate you checking in. Remember, you can take some notes or send us some questions if you have anything on Tech Time. The website link is there if you want to sign up for future ones as well. And we appreciate you passing the word on and getting more people involved. And hopefully we can enlighten some service technicians and people out there and enhance their ability to do service work. I'm Jim Strandlund, part of the technical services team, and love working for this company and love talking with all you guys. Remember our telephone numbers are there if you need assistance. Don't hesitate to give us a call. We're hosted by Intertech University. As you can see, our website, intertechuniversity.com. We got a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel at Intertech University. So these are all being recorded, and all our trainings that have done in the past are there for viewing at your own leisure. So please take advantage of the wonderful programs that Intertech is providing for us. Here's some of the other gentlemen that are in the technical services team with me. And so you can always put a face to the name when you're talking to someone. So lots of years of experience and a bunch of great guys. So anyway, most of you all know what a reversing valve is, right? It's bypassing refrigerant, going different pathways depending on whether you're in heating mode or whether you're in cooling mode or whether you're in hot water mode. So I guess it's one of the biggest headaches to try to replace and try to repair, right? As some of you have known. So I'm going to show some tips and some things today that may make this job a little bit easier for you out in the field. They're little tiny capillary lines that you can see coming out of the control. Very tough. Sometimes they break and they're very tough to try to fix. Sometimes you can get by with the longer ones with a piece of 1/4-inch copper and pinch the ends, but typically everybody solders them shut and they don't work, so it's probably more advisable to replace it. The solenoid coil on top of it is a replaceable item. Typically they might send you the whole new valve, but you can check the resistance with that with your voltmeter and your ohm meter, and that's one thing to first check before condemning your valve. Important, once you change these, especially like on a combo unit, go through all the steps, run it in heating, run it in cooling, run it in hot water mode. And let's make sure this thing is performing properly, and do your due diligence and look at superheat, subcooling, all of the above. In your manuals, pretty much all of them have a flow chart, something like this here, showing you the directional flow of going through the reversing valve. It's kind of helpful to know which direction things are going through. Diagnosing these are not the easiest in the world. We'll talk a little bit more about that here. Very critical to know what's inside of these. There are a lot of pieces of plastic, nylon, copper, stuff that's susceptible to welding, overheating and creating a problem. So this example shows you one that has more of a copper slide in it on top of a nylon piece. This is another example that piece is all made of nylon. So it's critical, again, a part of the welding, and I'm going to talk some more about that here in a minute. But it kind of gives you an idea of what's inside these things and how they slide and they move. I know some people testing them can use a magnet and I think they can try to slide that over, but again, some valves don't have enough steel in them to move them, but it's something worth giving a shot. Now, determining why the valve is bad or if it's bypassing and not going through the proper flow, clamp on thermometers, okay? Measure the discharge gas going into it and figure out where the gas is leaving and how it's going through, make sure it's going through the right process. These are some kind of clamps that are operated off of Bluetooth, and there's a lot of different tools out there, but this is probably the best way to diagnose if you're getting a valve that's leaking through or not going the proper direction. Look for temperatures, differentials, maybe 5 to 6 degrees going through these. If you're getting more in and feeling through. Hands feeling are a great way to do it. But this is the best way to do it. And today's uh, refrigeration gauges and the thermometer dial gauges and stuff enhance our serviceability tremendously. When you can take a screenshot from your iPad or notebook or your cell phone, you can take screenshots and record this data once you've figured out what's going on. Now, servicing these things or taking them apart, right? So we always look at, they like to cut the fittings out, but most people are going to try to unsweat them. Unsweating creates an oil burn, creates carbonization, and other issue products which can detriment the copper tubing. So always, they recommend cutting the pipes off farther away and do your soldering farther away from the valve. So that way you can weld on the valve floor fittings out in the open and make it easier for you to get at. And you know, it's going to take a few more couplings, but it may make this a little bit easier for you. Some of our units out there that we have, if you had to order a new valve, you can order what they call a spider assembly. And not everyone has, but you can ask tech or ask customer service in the parts department and find out if that's available. What that does is provide you an easier way. The welding has all been done at the factory on the valve itself, so you're not welding right next to the valve and doing some damage. Now, the one other big thing is when you're doing any of this soldering or welding, usage of nitrogen is a must. It helps create and keeps the copper internally clean. Whether you're sweating or unsweating fittings or joints, nitrogen charge small inside there will help tremendously. You also will see that most people will use an oxyacetylene torch. And the reason is we can get a higher temperature, get in and out of soldering a valve fast, and you know, creating less of a chance of doing any damage. We used to always take cotton rags and rip them up into strips and obviously have a pail of water and getting them wet, right? Wrap it around the connection point where you're going to weld. And I recommend only welding one joint at a time, recooling the valve off, re-wetting the rag, and starting over. Less chance of damaging a replacement valve. Now, since there are some companies out there that make some of these types of putties, right? Thermal trap, hot block, there's different manufacturers out there that can also be used. I find that rags are cheaper to have and easier to get a hold of, and most people have a bucket somewhere where you can get water. But this is another option for people to use that's out on the market. One of the things that you guys think about, you carry a fire extinguisher in when you're soldering or welding in a person's home. Well, this day and age, safety is key, right? We don't want to see any of you guys do a fire situation like I'm showing. And keep in mind, some of our new refrigerants are talking about have a small amount of propane in them. It's going to be a new learning curve, and it's not a bad idea to get in the habit now of having a fire extinguisher when you're working, because accidents do happen. Try to make your job safe and keep the customer safe. Now, a lot of people don't know that there are different types of welding tips available for out there to help you work in such a confined space. The ones that kind of got these hooks on them are kind of nice, where you can actually heat up all around the whole valve, so it's easy to drop the solder in. The one on the right is kind of one that I've used most all my life, and I actually just bent my own one straight. And what's nice, you can get around the back side of a fitting and still get into a small area and do a very good job of soldering. So keep this in mind. Some additional tips in your toolbox might be handy or make it easier for you to do a welding job. Here's another really neat one where it's got two tips coming off of it. It does kind of the same thing. And not every tip works in the greatest spots. They all have their usage and benefits, but as you all know, working inside the geothermal heat pump and changing a reversing valve can be pretty demanding and create some fancy words that may come out of your mouth. So get some tools to help you make this transition of change of soldering easier for you, and you'll find the job will go quicker and it'll be a lot easier. So those are some of the tips that I've given you today. I want to show one thing about our Intertech University YouTube page. Sign up, get in there. There's a tab right here that's called playlists, right? If you click on the playlist, it'll give you this whole description down here of the ones that we have. And all our trainings, all my tech times are there. You click on them, there's 16, 17 different ones that you can go review. Pass this on to your coworkers and people. And we all try to make our jobs a little bit easier by learning one simple little thing. And that's it for today. Thank you again for attending. Appreciate it. Submit any questions or comments that you may have to technicalservices@intertechgeo.com. And look forward to seeing you guys again next month. Thank you.